Time for another episode of the Tech Informist. Let's begin. I'm Kevin.
I'm Brad.
And on this episode, it's Samsung Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus time.
Elon Musk's Neuralink will plug AI into your brain.
Tesla Y teaser.
The next Call of Duty is Call of Duty World War II.
T-Mobile is giving all of its customers again a free year of baseball streaming.
Beam streaming, intuitive guide, and more to come on the Xbox One starting March 29th.
Windows 10 Creators Update is scheduled to arrive on April the 11th. Welcome back, everybody. Earlier this week, Samsung had their new unpacked, whatever, blah, blah, blah event. Samsung Galaxy S8 and the S8 Plus have been officially unveiled and announced and all that good stuff. So now we know a whole lot more confirmed information about these two new, expected to be very well-selling devices. What were your thoughts whenever you saw this beautiful little phone?
It's everything about this phone on paper is something that I would be looking at. However, I'm not really a Samsung person. I don't like the curved screen thing on the edges. I don't know why. I can't explain. I just don't like how it feels in my hand. And the other nitpick that I had is the fingerprint sensor and its placement. I think it's a little silly. That aside, the phone is a solid, awesome piece of tech, and I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Obviously, everybody's first impressions that have had a chance to have hands-on with it have been favorable.
Oh, yeah.
Because, again, it's Samsung. They have always put out quality hardware, aside from the Note 7. But that's kind of here nor there. And hopefully they don't have a repeat of that with these two new devices.
I don't see that happening maybe ever again.
Do you think they probably put in some checks and balances to try to avoid that?
Yes, about 8 of them. We discussed that on a later episode before.
Yeah, so it's been a while, but yeah, we did discuss that on a prior episode of the podcast. So looking at it, I agree with you. And this is something whenever the images first started rolling out weeks ago, I'm like, I don't like where they put that fingerprint sensor.
Yeah, it bothers me. But that aside, performance-wise, you have to expect that it's going to be good. Snapdragon 835, as we know, which is designed for augmented and virtual reality. They've updated the Gear VR headset, and I think they're even including a little Gear VR controller. Remote.
Yeah, you got a little remote controller kind of thing to play around with, similar to what you can get with Google and their Daydream headset.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, if it was me, I would go for the S8 Plus just because I like bigger screens. I do enjoy that.
And what's really nice, and this is a trend that we'll see all year, I think, is it's a bigger screen in the same size packaging of last year. And that is awesome.
Yeah, because you lose a lot of the top and bottom bezel. One, because they got rid of the physical home button and the back and recent apps buttons. Now you don't have those at the bottom, so you get a little bit more screen size showing on the bottom. At the top, I think you still have some bezel there because you got the earpiece, the front camera, sensors, etc. It's just something you're going to have to kind of expect from phones moving forward. Kept the headphone jack. That should make a lot of people happy because a lot of people still like those headphone jacks and stuff like that.
Yes, they did not lack courage in that.
Nope. And looking at the bottom of the device, you've got, again, the headphone jack, the USB Type-C connector.
Thank God. Isn't this their first device to have that?
Well, the Note 7 was pretty much the first one. But
it doesn't exist anymore.
No, not in reality. In some people's alternate realities, it still exists because they're unwilling to get rid of it.
I am so glad they finally made the jump to Type-C. And with one of the other things that we'll talk about in just a minute is only possible with USB Type-C.
Exactly. You also got, like I mentioned, the speaker, and then you've got the microphone port, which, again, you can tell Johnny Ive did not design this. Nobody at Apple designed this because the little microphone there on the bottom for the mouthpiece of the phone is offset. It's kind of closer to either the top or the bottom, depending on which way the phone is being held.
Right.
So it's just that little aesthetic that if you're like OCD, that could really bother you, as will the fingerprint sensor being on the back.
Everything about this is just OCD on me. Again, it is not a bad phone. It's just an OCD thing.
And I'm with you. And people that have listened to this show for the longest time know I'm not really a fan of those edges.
Holding it in your hand doesn't feel right. I don't know what it is.
Granted, we haven't held the S8, so maybe it could be a little different feeling. I don't know. I just imagine it's going to be just like the S7 Edge, where it's going to have that curve on both sides, and I'm going to be like, no, I like having a little meat on the sides.
So do I. And you got to think, if you are in the real world, we usually drop our devices at least once or twice in the lifetime of them.
Yes, the lifetime of them.
It would be nice to have that little extra cushion, per se, instead of like a screen spilling over and potentially hitting something instead.
It's been great that I got my wife the S7 Active. I don't know what it is about this phone or what it is about the case, maybe. I don't know. It's like a running thing that she has dropped that phone so much more than she has dropped her past phones.
So you're saying it's like a Nokia 920?
Yeah.
It's a tank.
Now, granted, it was just in a little cheap little case that I got off Amazon. It was like $8. Nothing fancy.
Anything is better than nothing, though.
Yeah. And yeah, the phone's going great. I need to replace the screen protector on it, but I keep asking her, do you want me to replace it? And she's like, no, that's good.
I find it interesting that between the rumors of the new iPhone, Samsung last year and now this year, and the G6, that we're going back to the glass front and back.
Yes.
I find that interesting.
And again, I mean, a lot of people do put cases on there, but you can always tell the ones that don't because it's either really scratched up on the back and the front, or shattered, like you said. And going all the way back to that Nexus 4 and those, what was it, the iPhone 4, whatever it was.
4 and 4S.
Yeah, that had those glass backs. I'm like, I don't like this whatsoever. Because the only people that win are the ones that actually replace those and make money replacing those.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how this thing holds up. We'll probably get a review from Verizon, our nice friends at the Verizon reps here in St. Louis, who just happened to send out our LG G6 review device that we get to play around with. But I get to play with this because Brad got his very own today.
Yep, I was waiting. That came at 8 in the morning. I wasn't even awake. My case for the phone showed up around lunchtime, and then the actual phone itself showed up about 2. So
yeah, I mean, it's
all there by the time I got home.
Yeah, and I know you're definitely excited because
I'm chomping at the bit. I didn't bring it with me because I know I would be distracted, so I left it at home.
But you've had a chance to kind of feel the one from Verizon, and you also get a chance to feel it at the store, the displays.
Yes, and I mean, immediately when you pick it up, it is, not to get off topic too much, but it is a quality device, just as this one is that we're talking about.
It feels very solid. And we'll have more on that on episode 171 next week, because
we'll have a full week.
I turned it on, I looked at it, I'm like, feels cool. Turn it back off, and all right, we'll talk about it next week.
I think it is worth mentioning, though, real quick, with the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus, you're getting Bixby, which is their new digital assistant that we talked about last week.
Yes.
You know, it's supposed to be able to do anything that you can do with touch, supposedly. We'll see how that works in the real world. And then you also get a dock that they call DeX.
Yep.
It's
capital D, small e, capital X.
It's about $150 purchase, but essentially, it should have came with it. Come on. Just like the Gear VR. I don't know what they're doing over there. Anyway, that aside, it essentially is Continuum. It's interesting. And what else isn't even more interesting is there is sort of a Microsoft software version of this.
Yes, what they're dubbing the Microsoft Edition.
So you will have Microsoft apps preloaded on the phone straight out of the box. And you gotta think the store would be smart to carry the DeX little docks and some mouse and keyboards to go with it because...
And nice little bundles.
In nice little bundles, exactly. And this is what the enterprise customers want. They can go to the Microsoft Store, along with other stores, obviously.
Right. And I know we were kind of discussing this prior to us starting to record this, and it does say that they are going to be selling this Galaxy S8 inside of the U.S. Microsoft retail stores.
And they're no strangers to selling phones.
No, they've done it for a while. It just haven't really had to do that in a while.
It is kind of interesting that they're selling an Android phone in a Microsoft store, though. They do that sort of with laptops, though. I mean, they don't just sell their own laptops, kind of like Apple sells all of their own products, pretty much.
No, but they kind of have no choice but to sell their own products.
True.
So that's the only products out there with Mac OS.
But it's just kind of a chocolate and vanilla kind of situation. You've got Apple, which is... all they have is their products. Then you go to the Microsoft Store, and it's Microsoft focused, but it has all their partners. It's just interesting.
I'm kind of interested to look and play around with this DeX experience just because I liked Continuum, but the OS and everything just wasn't fully baked at the time that I had the devices and stuff like that to really play around with it. So I kind of moved on, and obviously Samsung is going to have this kind of figured out. We've already seen Remix, what they can do with a version of Android that can hook up to a regular computer monitor and keyboard and a mouse to kind of get Android as a mobile experience on a desktop scenario.
Well, I believe they even have an extra gig of RAM to work with, too. So you got to figure this thing runs pretty good.
Yeah, you have to imagine that it should run pretty good because I believe, 4 gig of RAM with that Snapdragon 835 like I mentioned. Battery life on it, 3,000 I believe for the regular S8 and then 3,500 or 3,300 for the...
I believe 3,500. But yes, I don't remember.
That's right, because the S8 Plus has more battery than the LG G6.
Yes.
By like 200. Because the G6, I think, is 3,300.
Yes.
So that's where I was coming up with 3,300. 200 milliamp, that's splitting hairs in reality.
All I know is I have 500 milliamps more than I have now. So
that's true. You're going to be a heavy little camper.
Super excited.
Like, ooh, I can take 5 more pictures.
I can log in 5 more beers over the course of 5 hours. Anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm looking forward to getting a chance to try this. It's really been a while since I've done a phone review, so we will both be spending time with the LG G6. Mm-hmm. And here we are just kind of going all over the place because, well, that's kind of what we feel like doing right now. And we'll talk about that in another week or so.
It's hard not to talk about it. It's in the room. We just got it. I'm excited.
It's the elephant in the corner over here on the left.
Pretty much, yeah.
So anyway, do you guys want to get the Galaxy S8 or would you get the Galaxy S8 Plus? I'm curious to know what you all think. Let us know, or are you just going to wait for something else?
Like a Pixel 2.
Yeah, Pixel 2. Are you going to wait for HTC to come out with something again? Are you going to get something else from OnePlus? Who knows? Might you get something from Motorola? Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's so many different devices out there.
Or are you of the simple folk and just enjoy your iPhone, and that's just fine?
Yeah, I'm already thinking, what am I going to do when it comes to the iPhone 8 Plus?
What about, or the version that we don't know with the LED screen and...
Yeah. So basically what my thoughts are right now as we kind of transition away from the Samsung talk is I'm thinking I will probably hold on to my 7 Plus, get the 8 Plus, and then let my wife have the 7 Plus, sell my Nexus 6P, keep her S7 active. I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure this out. I like to move things all around.
Yeah.
I'm not at that stage where I still want to just keep up a whole bunch of devices. Well, it's nice only having 2.
I like having a backup device, so the G5's not going anywhere.
Nope.
And, I mean, for the foreseeable future, I will be rocking the G6, so...
Like a G6. It needs to be your ringtone.
Oh,
Come
God.
on, Kesha.
Oh, no. Elon Musk's Neuralink will plug AI into your brain. And this kind of goes perfect with one of our movie picks later. I saw this earlier in the week, and along with starting yet another startup and another company, here we are again. Elon's starting another company and talking about changing the way we interface with computers. I can't even begin to wrap my mind around this.
The guy's like a glutton for punishment, you know.
I mean,
He just can't stay out of his own way.
yeah. Well, he made a company called Boring to bore under the streets of Los Angeles because he was tired of traffic. That's the only Elon. And I would never bet against Elon either.
I wouldn't really recommend boring and down too deep into anywhere in California because, you know, the whole earthquake thing and
I guess we'll find out.
all those rumblings and rumors of, you know, California just falling off into the ocean. I mean, the island of California. Imagine that.
I'm sure a lot of Americans would love that to be a thing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of people would think that. Bye-bye.
But what is fascinating about this is Elon is kind of like one of kind of 5 employees right now that are really heavily focused in this company. It is a meaningful partial brain interface is what he keeps referring it as.
So kind of like those people that put those little RFID chips in their hands so they can unlock doors and activate things just by touching it with their hand.
No, I'm thinking more like The Matrix, where you plug into a computer and you look up a bunch of stuff quicker than you ever could and potentially download things.
I'm kind of leaning more towards my personal preference of what I see from this is the whole potential to treat diseases.
Then that would be amazing.
Because, I mean, Alzheimer's terrible. Parkinson's is horrible.
So, and this is crazy that this happened today. So I went to Steve's Hot Dogs for lunch, as one does. And a blind guy walks in. And I just sat there and thought, I'm like, wouldn't it be amazing instead of using that stick to feel his way around the streets of my neighborhood if he had an AI that would tell him precisely when to stop and wait and go different places and like talk with it and be like, I want to go here, help me get to this place. That is life-changing for people.
Like Spidey sense?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But
like, ooh, incoming object coming from my right.
Or maybe Cortana from the Halo series, not actually Cortana, the assistant. But
kind of just talking in your head, hey, stop.
Yeah, can you even imagine anything like that?
No.
Like something talking in your head and you can talk back with it?
No.
That just blows my mind. It's like thinking about how big the universe is. You can't wrap your head around it quite yet because there's no way to contextualize it.
Well, yet might only be 4 to 5 years away if Elon Musk has his way. And
I hope he does because that man is changing the world for the good, I think. But we'll see. He's started up other companies that haven't been extremely successful in the past, but
you can't hit home runs on everything. Even Apple, Samsung, none of the big companies and geniuses haven't been able to do that.
I think he's starting this at the right time. There's a good conversation behind why he wants to start it, and I think that'll get a lot of supporters.
Definitely from the sci-fi fan genre, people that really love that stuff. They're like, ooh, this is so cool.
Ooh, pick me, pick me.
Then you'll have the tinfoil hat wearers that'll be like, no, this is horrible. And then they're going to be petitioning to their representatives that barely even send email and have no idea what in the world technology is. And they're going to be making the decisions that's going to hold us back even further than what we're being done, which we might talk a little bit about later. But anyway, that's beside the point. Anyway, I hope this succeeds. And just kind of something else with Elon Musk. I believe the SpaceX just did that reusable rocket with the
Falcon 9 Heavy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they have recycled, reused, and sending that rocket back out there again. So.
Yeah, it could bring space travel down by a factor of 100. That's huge.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That means I could actually go to space.
Yep. You'd like to. Take some pictures.
Yeah.
That would be really neat to do.
Go to space for the afternoon or an hour or something.
So Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin has already flown a rocket multiple times, but its design is easier to reuse thanks to its smaller, simpler design and less ambitious flights. So,
yeah. But there's competition in the market, and that's good.
Competition's always good when it comes to this, because who's going to get it done right first?
Mm-hmm.
And who's really going to get the best, we'll just say, kind of reviews of all of this, where it's going to be like, that's the company I want to put all my money with. I'm going to go with this side or this side.
I'm not sure if I can even think of another company that would start an AI plug into your brain kind of thing, other than Google, Microsoft, or Apple.
It definitely sounds like something Google would do. Google would probably be my bet where I'd place my hopefully safer money would be on them.
Yeah.
To do something like this. Another one of Elon Musk's companies, Tesla, has kind of started dropping a little bit of teasers about the mysterious Model Y Tesla, which I think is going to be a smaller version of the Model 3. Not really a smaller version of the Model 3.
Model X.
Yeah, it's going to be based on the Model 3 framework.
Yes.
And it's going to be a smaller version of the Model X, so a little bit of that sport utility kind of vehicle.
Almost crossover-esque, if you will.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for a lot of people, especially here in the city, that smaller car is a big deal, especially if you can do an SUV in that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they might sell like gangbusters.
Yeah, you knock it down to something like 45,000 base.
Maybe less. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows what that Gigafactory can put out soon.
Well, we know how expensive that the Model X is.
Yeah, but
compared to the Model S.
True.
So,
but it won't have all the bells and whistles, just like the Model 3 doesn't have all the bells and whistles
true.
Like that.
That's why I said that, just trying to keep the price.
The baseline down, yeah.
Like, okay, so this is here, and then the 3 is here, so you kind of put the Y a little bit above that just because of keeping in correlation.
Well, and you got to figure, it's like going to, let's say, Chevy, and you buy an Impala, but the Impala is always cheaper than going for like an Escalade or Traverse
or something.
Yeah.
And another cool little thing from Tesla, those solar roof tiles that we talked about
are available.
Yeah, they're getting ready to be available soon.
Yeah.
And I believe you can go ahead and possibly start ordering those this coming April, which April 1st is this Saturday.
Yeah, wow. And also something. Earth Day will be coming up very soon, so kind of coincide with that a little.
Yeah, so these hopefully can be available sometime in the not too distant future for people to go ahead and start taking control of their energy bills and using renewable energy in a more responsible method.
I hope so.
Call of Duty fans, it's about that time again to start talking about the next version of Call of Duty, which is reported, as Brad mentioned earlier, to be going back to the Call of Duty somewhat roots, going back in time to like the World War II era.
And a lot of people thought that this was more of a response to Battlefield 1 last fall, because it sold very well.
Yeah, very
and it
successful.
was received very well. But you got to think, game development doesn't quite work like that.
No. This
has been in the works for some time. And the only way to get it out polished as ever is for that to happen. But, I'm kind of glad to kind of break things up, even between, I think they have the 3 different developers that develop for Call of Duty. And each year it's a different turn for, which developer puts what out, to switch it up, like, oh, hey, this one can do modern warfare, and this one can do past warfare, and this one can do futuristic, and we can just have like one of each or something, and they could all find their niche. I think that could be interesting. And a lot of people, sort of gave Call of Duty Infinite Warfare a lot of hate, but from what I've heard, I have yet to play it. I'm backlogged like crazy, but from what I've heard, it's not bad. It's fine. And I just think that going back to their roots is a good idea.
Yeah, I think it'll kind of get some of those hardcore long-term fans be like, all right, this is cool to be able to do this again. Obviously, Modern Warfare Remastered was received very well, as opposed to Infinite Warfare.
I still can't believe that they have not decoupled that from the game. I don't know if they ever will.
They might not.
I might actually have to just shell out some cash eventually on a sale.
Yeah, you might just have to. I don't know.
But it's worth mentioning that the studio responsible for Advanced Warfare is the one that's going to be putting this one out,
right,
which Advanced Warfare wasn't really well received.
True. I can't remember if Advanced or Infinite was received better. I
would say Infinite, via reviews and such. Mm-hmm. But Advanced Warfare, it just didn't click. I think it was too far towards the Titanfall stuff.
Right.
And people are like, well, if they have that, wouldn't I just play Titanfall instead?
Exactly. Even though you didn't get Titans in Call of Duty. But speaking of Titanfall, there's a new update coming out on March the 30th, I believe. So I guess it came out today, or maybe it comes out tomorrow on the 31st. We'll see. Respawn is again running a free weekend for Titanfall 2 from March 30th through April the 3rd. So that's cool. And that also coincides with their new update, the Colony Reborn update, that launches for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on March 30th. So I was actually somewhat right there. So you get a new map, which is remastered from the first Titanfall, Colony. You get a new weapon, the R-101. Get a new execution called Curb Check. And new purchasable content, Prime Titans, North Star, and Legion. You get 20 different camos, call signs, 20 different banners, 20 different patches, 5 new Titan nose art designs, and 1 new war paint design per Titan.
So is this a pack that you buy all together, or is this individual things that you can get?
Those, the purchasable things are the Prime Titans, the camos, the call signs, the Titan nose art. There's also some gameplay balance changes, of course. And there's also going to be something called Pilot's Boosts. Roll the dice to increase earn meter needed to use. Smart Pistol has been fixed a bug with locking onto the base of amped wall and hardcover. Some Titan changes. And I'm not going to go through everything. You'll know. We'll link to all this stuff because there's actually a lot of stuff in here. And it's good to see. Again, they're still supporting the game. And again, the DLC is free. Doesn't cost $10. You didn't have to buy a season pass.
That's a kind of a reoccurring theme, again, with a lot of games this year and just this past year, is where they put out a game like Halo or Gears of War. All DLC is free. But then they have little card packs that you can buy and get extra weapon skins or skins for your character. And I like that idea because the people like myself who really are really into that game, they can go buy those things and support that game. Whereas the people that just, they play occasionally, they buy the game once and they don't have to buy anything after that.
And with it being March the 30th, we are just a couple days away from opening day of the Major League Baseball season. It starts, I believe, on ESPN with the Chicago Cubs coming to St. Louis to battle the Cardinals on Sunday Night Baseball. So looking forward to that. That's great. And again, T-Mobile is giving all of its customers a free year of baseball streaming through the MLB.TV baseball streaming service. There you go. And that actually works on older plans and prepaid service.
So what you're saying is if you're an existing customer, you get this plan.
Exactly. I don't know if you could sign up the day that we record this or April 1st or even before this all launches to do, because it says, oh, there we go. The promo is not a part of its T-Mobile Tuesdays campaign. This one you'll need to find by heading to the Groupon link. The promo begins April 4th to celebrate the official return of baseball in the U.S. and Canada. Don't forget the Blue Jays, because the rest of baseball starts back on like that Monday or Tuesday. It's when all the other games will kick back in. So it's pretty cool to do. You will only have over a day to sign up for this promotion, as it ends at 4:59 a.m. Eastern Time on April the 5th. So you got to move if you want to get this, which is like $113 value.
Yeah, that app is quite expensive for the year pass. But if you're a baseball fan, it's worth it.
No, it's well worth it. It's a great way to do. I would love to buy that one year, but again, I mean, just time is just at a minimum that I've got to watch games and stuff like that.
I used to get the radio where I could listen to radio anywhere, anytime, just listen to baseball. And again, I've since lost track of time and been able to listen as much. So, wow.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with that as well. Because whenever I had XM satellite, I had it where we could listen to every game possible, and depending on where they were is which radio broadcast we would get access to. If they were in town, we got the Cardinal one, and if they were away, we got the opposing team's broadcast.
You know, I've got a Cardinals license plate. Why don't I get like a discount on those?
You should. You should get something
what the
good.
Heck?
You should get something.
All they do is give me a sticker and a plate.
Yeah. Not too shabby. Not too bad. It looks nice, though.
So there's a new Xbox update, and it is here, and I just installed it last night. I gotta say, I really like a lot of the changes. They're kind of breaking my brain right now. It's old habits die hard, as they say. Initially, when you go to download, it kind of does a pre-download, and then it starts showing you your 3 different steps. It's like, downloading, checking the download to make sure it's validated or whatever, and then applying the update. And then after that's all said and done, the home screen as you know it is finally different. Your guide button, there is no double tap anymore. It is just a 1-button press to get to pretty much anything you want. It's pretty quick. It's snappy, and I love it. Quick kind of in quotations pro tip. If you do hit the guide button and you are in a different app from elsewhere, hit A twice and you'll be back at home before you know it. Unlike clicking your slippers together 3 times.
Nice one. So is this open to pretty much everybody or just Xbox
This is
One
releasing
insiders?
to everyone now. The
Nice.
insiders have had their do's and don'ts and reported back to Microsoft, and I think it's ready for the masses. I tried getting it earlier in the day yesterday, didn't show up. By last night, it showed up, so it should be available by the time you listen to this. Or in fact, you might even have the new dashboard on by the time you listen to this.
Yeah. I know whenever I turned my Xbox One on last week for just a short while, I checked updates. I think it said the last update was November or December, so it had been a while since it's got an update.
And this is also the same update that has the Copilot mode. They are incorporating Beam into one of their streaming services because Microsoft bought Beam not too long back, and they're turning it around pretty quick to be able to use. So,
which is going to be able to stream Xbox gameplay directly from the guide on your Xbox One.
Yeah, it is again super quick.
Have you played with that yet?
I was going to set up Beam, and I got distracted.
Surprise, surprise.
I already have my name and stuff signed into Beam separately, and then I have to link my accounts, I think, and that's about it. So
okay. I might have to go home and update my device. Be nice to do.
It's almost a gig. Not quite. It doesn't take too terribly long. I would say 15, 20 minutes, and also depends on your internet service and all that. So
exactly. All right. And server load at that on top of it. So, all right. We'll be updating our Xboxes soon. So, curious. I don't know. I'm curious to see what it's going to look like because one of the things was the visuals, and navigating around was kind of a pain in the ass to me. Oh, we'll see if this kind of makes things any better visually or nicer to see. So another update from Microsoft, the big Windows 10 Creators Update that we've been talking about for what seems like the longest time, scheduled to finally arrive on April the 11th. This is a free update to Windows 10. It's going to start rolling out to machines during Patch Tuesday. So again, April 11th, Patch Tuesday, and they plan to release it gradually to existing devices. If you don't want to wait a couple of weeks, you can already get the final Windows 10 Creators Update ISO build, which is version 15063. That's the build number. And this update was originally scheduled to include people integration and Windows Mixed Reality, but those features have been pushed back. So not everything that has been rumored and rumbled to be in the Windows 10 Creators Update is going to actually be out at launch. But still going to have a whole bunch of things for you creators. Obviously, that's why they're calling it the Creators Update. And again, it's also getting the beam streaming to the Windows 10 Xbox app, which is going to allow PC gamers to easily stream their gameplay on its service.
One of the nice things about Beam is the low latency when you do stream. So usually if you stream to like Twitch or something, there's a kind of, I don't know, somewhere between a 5-second to however many second gap.
Delay, yeah.
And with Beam, it's very small from what I hear. So
that's good.
That's I'd say that's a selling point.
So hopefully it's not going to take up like a lot of bandwidth and affect your online gameplay.
I would imagine not. Maybe it's also super light. I'm not 100% for sure on that. But yeah, low latency. So
it's also going to come with the new 3D Paint app for Windows 10. This is going to let you create 3D objects that will eventually work with Windows mixed reality enabled headsets later this year. Support for 360-degree videos in the Movies and TV app. New ebook section of the Windows Store, yippee for ebook fans. And it's also tweaking the Edge browser with new tab management features that let you set aside and store collections of tabs and adding support for reading ebooks. I will say, even though when I go into the Windows 10 partition on my Mac, I don't even open Edge. I would have to dig to find a link to open the Edge browser. I just don't use it. I don't know. Anyway, another a little under 2 weeks, I guess, and we'll have the Creators Update. I guess I will install it whenever it comes out. Hopefully I won't be in the midst of too many editing projects at the time to where I'm worried that we'll screw something up.
Yeah, I've got 2 separate editing machines now, so I think
you're good to go. You're good to go. It's been a while since we've had a rant of the week. This is one of those that I think should make everybody want to rant and rave and carry on, because this is pretty important stuff here. The U.S. Senate has voted to overturn internet privacy rules that were introduced by the FCC last year. And as noted by The Verge, they pointed out, the House of Representatives today, which was earlier this week, they passed a resolution that overturns the Obama-era rules that required internet service providers to ask for customer permission before sharing their browser history with other companies. So these rules set forth last year also required ISPs, internet service providers, think Comcast, AT&T, Charter, any company that provides internet service to you, whatever device, to protect the browsing data from hackers and alert customers of any breaches. Now it's one of those things sitting on President Trump's desk. Is he going to veto it or not?
I doubt it.
I kind of doubt it myself as well. So in the House, during the vote, 190 Democrats and 15 Republicans voted against repealing the FCC rules, making the final tally closer than many people had anticipated prior to the vote. Stuff that you've searched for in the past, your search history, your browsing history, stuff like that. It's got a for sale sign in the yard. Anybody who wants to come on in and buy that, yeah, seems to be pretty fair game right now.
As Android Central has posted, or did a post on, there are ways to at least make it more difficult for them to get a hold of that stuff. VPN.
Virtual Private Network. Yeah, you can set yourself up one of those. They give you nice instructions on how to do that.
And I'm sure there are many, many more tricks that I think the technology companies could have up their sleeves that we may not know about. So I guess we will see where this goes. I personally am not a happy camper because I think it's wrong to sell private information to other companies without your consent. I don't like that at all.
No, definitely not. And in case you're curious just how much, some of this stuff cost in regards to lobbyist dollars, because obviously lobbyist dollars is always at play here. Mm-hmm. How much can these politicians be paid to sway their vote? Well, here's kind of where it gets a little embarrassing in the state of Missouri. Coming in, I believe, in second place, Roy Blunt, Republican from Missouri. $185,550. Kind of what his vote was worth. Let's see. For those of you in the great old state of Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, also a Republican, $251,110. So it kind of ranges down. You've got Senator Luther Strange out of Alaska, also a Republican. He was appointed to Congress in February 2017, so he didn't get a chance to get in on that. Yeah, Republican John Thune from, I believe, South Dakota, $215,000. Let's see. Some of the other ones there, we'll just look at a little one. Senator John Kennedy, not John F. Kennedy, or I'm not sure if that would be any relation, a Republican out of Louisiana, only got $1,000 for his vote, so he apparently was just all in. Just let me do it, let me do it, let me do it. You know, he kind of a cheap date there,
I guess.
Yeah.
So essentially, they are buying votes to pass a thing that will potentially hurt how we do things day to day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's cute.
It's not good. Not good at all. And I know a lot of times people always want to say, well, if you're not browsing things you shouldn't be looking up, well, it kind of doesn't matter.
I was going to say, sure, but I also don't like them having the information of, oh, I shop here. Now they're going to start showing me ads of this thing all the time wherever I go.
Yeah, that kind of already happens.
You're right, but it could be worse.
Right. Now it's even more heavily influenced by your internet service provider selling that information to specific companies.
Not a fan. Not at all.
Not a fan at all. And I believe there's still ways that you can still kind of complain to your representative. So look that information up. I believe if you just go to the town hall section in Facebook, which we also talked about in a recent episode, you can find out who those elected representatives are that you would need to contact from your state and your area. Mm-hmm. Yippee-ki-yay. Fun, America 2017. It's time for app and entertainment and hardware picks. Brad, you've been seeing a lot of movies here lately, so let's go ahead and kind of talk about your experience with some of these films.
Well, for my birthday, we went out and saw Beauty and the Beast, and it was good. Actually, it was better than what I was expecting. I felt everyone was casted well, and everyone did a good job. I still think Emma Watson is a slightly strange pick, but she did good. Overall, I think it was fine. A lot of the changes they made sense watching, a more modern film. It's not one of my more favorite Disney stories, so I don't have too terribly much to say about it other than it was good. It was fine.
So I've been hearing from people that have seen this other than you, that they say it's just an amazing film. It was very well done, from the visuals to the music and the entire experience. They just said it was fantastic.
I guess it takes a lot more to impress me now these days.
Oh yeah, you watch a lot of films with a lot of special effects and
a lot of it really more stems from my wife. She's more the movie buff, and so is Justin, and they know way more than I do. But some of it's kind of rubbed off, and I guess I look at things more critically now than I ever have.
So from this, what would you say were some of your favorite aspects of the film?
I haven't really sat down and thought about it, but I would think that the character model for the Beast...
Yeah, humanoid water buffalo. That's pretty cool.
Well, just, the way they made him look versus the cartoon, I think he looks a little more grounded in reality, as strange as that sounds.
Okay.
A lot of the voice acting was great. Gaston is probably one of my favorite villains. Watching him being portrayed in real life is kind of cool. And, again, the visuals were really good. In fact, one of the scenes in the movie I think is better than the original. And that says a lot. They were really trying. not all scenes, obviously. It's hard to do a grandiose scale of a castle in real life without going over budget 100 times.
Right, renting out a real castle or something.
Right, so they had to kind of pick and choose what they did, but it is still a grand story, and it was good. Honestly, again, Emma Watson is probably the number one thing that just sort of bothers me. She didn't do a bad job. That's not what I'm saying. I just, for some reason, in my brain, I have it. I don't see her as that character. And I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. It's just there.
Yeah, it might have been one of those, just better to have a no-name actress portray her.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
That way you'd had nothing to, okay, it's Hermione from Harry Potter and...
Or to be fair, maybe somebody off of Broadway who is used to singing. It's not that she was bad at singing, it's she wasn't amazing at it compared to Ian McGregor is what I was thinking of. He is a fantastic singer. In fact, he was in Moulin Rouge. Just as, he knows what he's doing. So when he sings, you get that he's done it before. Whereas Emma Watson, sure, maybe she sung in the shower a little. Maybe she had some voice acting coach stuff.
Okay. What would you rate it out of 10? Or you're out of 4, aren't you?
No, I'm a 10 guy.
Okay.
So I think it's a solid 8. I think it was fine.
So next up, the other film that you got a chance to go see in
another pre-screen.
Theater. Yeah, Mr. Screener over here.
Again, due to Justin winning pre-screening tickets, we got another free showing to Ghost in the Shell, which by the time you hear this, it will be out in theaters. This one wasn't quite as good as Beauty and the Beast for many reasons. I am not a fan of the original anime show. I don't know about that world enough to tell you whether or not this was a good adaptation. But the things that I did like were the music, which reminded me a lot of the Tron remake, and the world building they did.
Okay.
Those two things single-handedly kept me just enthralled with what was going on. The story is pretty basic. Scarlett Johansson, she was okay. She's fine. I don't know how much better or worse anyone else could have done with the material given. There was also a lot of reports of this film sort of being what they call whitewashed, and they're just, everyone's a white, actor or whatever.
Oh, like no cultural diversity.
No cultural, and which is not the case in this movie. There was a lot of cultural diversity. However, they weren't maybe the main protagonists. And sure, in the original anime film, Scarlett Johansson's character is, I believe, Japanese, but in the context of the film, it makes sense that she can kind of be anything. Really, kind of picking a big name to headline your movie is not a terrible thing. I thought it was fine. I don't think a lot of American viewers are going to be crazy about going to see this. It was like a mixture between The Matrix and Black Mirror. That's what I would call it.
So just by looking at this and knowing Scarlett Johansson is playing the lead role in here, it reminds me of that film from 2014, Lucy. Which you probably remember that film.
I haven't seen it, but yes, she is a badass in this movie. Just, of course, Scarlett Johansson, she tends to do that.
Right.
And she's very, familiar with doing those kind of roles. So it only makes sense why she was in this.
Right. So out of 10 on Ghost in the Shell.
I'd say like a 6.5.
Okay.
Again, I found myself liking the music and the world more than the actual characters on the screen. It wasn't a terrible movie, and I would have paid to go see it. I'm glad I didn't have to. But perhaps if you're a fan, it's worth going for at least a watch to support that thing that you like, even though it may not turn out exactly the way you want.
Yeah, and it got like a 6.8 out of 10 rating so far on IMDb. So it's kind of like right where you're at.
Yeah, I think IGN gave it a 6.7. So yeah, it's right. I agree with everything everyone said about it. Again, it was a fun little ride. Not something I want to own, but the world itself, I'd kind of like to visit that world occasionally. That was very interesting.
All right, so this next one that I kind of want to talk about is not a movie that I've seen. It's a trailer that I watched today. And if you've ever wondered what it would be like if Star Wars, Avatar, and Hunger Games had a menage a trois, what would be the result of that evening or that experience? Well, you'd have visually what looks like, based on this trailer, something called Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets, which is based on a book. Now, again, I know nothing about this history of the book. I've never read the book. I've never even heard of this. And this was the first time I had even seen the trailer. So I'm watching the trailer, and within the first few seconds, it plays a clip of music of the Beatles kind of harmonizing from one of their prior songs, which the name of the song is escaping me, but it is one of their best harmonies that I can recall. And I believe it's on the Abbey Road album. I believe this harmony comes off of there. I mean, that kind of sells me on. It's like, ooh, anything that uses that, it's like, yep, I'm in. And then I watched it. I'm like, this actually looks pretty good. So my interest is piqued for this movie. I think it actually looks like it's going to be pretty good.
It's funny, every time I see this trailer, I forget about it. But then as soon as I watch the trailer, and I'm maybe, a third of the way in, I'm like, oh, it's that trailer for that thing. I'm like, oh, man, this kind of has got me intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm a big sci-fi guy. Everyone knows that.
It looks good. It looks very big scale. Watching some of the scenes, I was reminded of, what was that, Phantom Menace, Star Wars Episode 1.
Oh, so lots of CGI.
Yes, lots of CGI.
I don't know how I feel about this now.
Like, that looks like Phantom Menace there. And then you get some of the interaction between the main characters. I believe it's Laureline and, let's see, who else would that be? I can't think of what the boy's name. Dane DeHaan, that's the actor's name. So he plays Valerian. Valerian? I don't know. Maybe I'm butchering that name, probably. Valerian.
Like Valerian steel, for those of you Game of Thrones people.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's spelled the same. Anyway.
Yeah, it could be. So it just kind of makes you think back to the Hunger Games and the interaction between Jennifer Lawrence and the
Peeta.
boy. Peeta. Yeah. So
Peeta bread.
Katniss and Peeta.
He's a baker.
He's a baker.
I can't help not to call him Peeta bread.
So it kind of reminds me there of that. You're like, And then you see a couple creatures. I don't know if you call them creatures or different species.
Aliens,
of
creatures,
people.
all kinds of weird goofs.
And you're like, that looks just like the people from Avatar, only they're white, not blue. So that's kind of where I'm like, it's just a big old mix mash of all these different universes into one film, and looks like it has the potential to be pretty darn good. It's something that sci-fi people would be interested in.
I hope so. I wasn't a huge fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. It just didn't quite do it for me. I don't know why.
I don't either. Because
Sarah or Justin didn't like it either.
Really?
Yeah, we all sat down and we're like, open mind, kind of.
I wonder if that's because you didn't see it in a theater with a group of other people laughing at
big nerds,
the humor and stuff like that.
No, because Sarah would roll her eyes even harder. But
she's a serious woman, isn't she?
She can be. I mean, I think I'm more serious than she is, if you can believe it. But
okay.
No, I don't know. It just never really did it for us.
I can understand. I mean, there's movies out there that some people love that I'm like, okay.
Right. To each his own.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, whatever. And also this last week, I did get a chance to watch the first out of 2 of the Dave Chappelle specials on Netflix, because there's the one from Los Angeles, which was recorded, I guess, right after Gary Shandling passed away, because he did reference that towards the end. And then I need to start watching the one that was recorded down in Texas. The one in L.A. was very funny. It was nice. It was like, yes, it's nice to have him back and stuff like that. So definitely check that out. Again, that's on Netflix, and it is available now to stream. time for Beer Pick of the Week.
So this one's a pretty simple one for around here in the St. Louis area, but I constantly forget about it, and I feel bad because I've never logged it, and I know I've had it a million times, and by that I mean the unfiltered wheat beer from Boulevard Brewing Co., their flagship, if you will. It's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with it. It's easy drinking at 4.4% ABV and only 14 IBUs. It is a pale wheat ale.
The pride of Kansas City, Missouri.
Yep. Another great Missouri beer. This one would be, I would say, pretty easy to get a hold of.
Yeah.
In the Midwest, especially. You can find this just about anywhere. I'm more putting this in here, reminding not only myself, but the listeners that Boulevard Brewing Co. has some really, really good stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you're maybe just starting out with beer, or in fact, for my birthday, my dad actually tried a new beer, and it was this one. And that's what gave me the idea.
Wow.
To put it as a beer pick. Because if my dad likes it, you're probably going to like it.
Yeah. Because I'm sure he's probably like my dad. I will try some of the things at Main and Mill, and I'll give him a little sip, and he's like, ah.
His first question is always, is it dark? And that is such a misconstrued concept.
Yeah.
Because really what he should be asking, if he even just knew a hint about beer, is it an IPA? Is it bitter?
Right.
That's usually where people's taste buds are, whoa!
Yeah, like, no.
But this is, however, not that. My father did enjoy it, and it is just a nice, balanced, pale wheat ale.
Yeah, I know I've had it before, and I couldn't tell you if I've checked it in.
So I'll be looking for this to check in soon, being as I've apparently never checked it in, which is hilarious.
Yeah, very. I have checked it in. So I just logged myself in, and I have checked it in, and I gave it 3.5. So, which is pretty much like right in
the wheelhouse.
Its cumulative rating is 3.59 out of 82,737 unique check-ins.
I find that I like traditional styles done well more than the extravagant styles of beers.
Right.
So like this pale wheat ale, if I were to log it, I would probably be somewhere between a 4 and 4.25. But that's me, because I really like the traditional ones.
Right.
I'm boring.
Yeah.
Vanilla,
It
if you
happens. So that does it for this episode of the Tech Informist. If there was anything that you would like to say, hey, guys, I really wish you would talk about this, or wish you would go into a little bit more detail on that, let us know. If there's something in the movie world, TV world, or just other entertainment, whether it's a game, a movie, TV show, just anything, let us know what you think we should check out and what might be worth us sharing our opinions on to others.
And what email is that?
That would be contact@thetechinformist.com. Also, if you got a beer pick of the week that you think would be good to share with listeners that we might be interested in trying out, definitely make sure to share that with us as well.
Yeah, and even if we've had it, it just makes it easier for me to talk about.
Exactly. It might be like, hey, I haven't had that in a while. I need to try that again. Because, different years that a beer is released, it could have a different flavor.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm. Always looking to change up the formula a little bit once in a while. But you can always check us out on Twitter, which is our pretty much preferred method. So that's @KevinHarvell and @holy_shadows. And of course, always make sure to check out Brad's Instagram account because he's been going nuts over there.
I have. It's been
his favorite social media platform these
It has
days.
Been lately, honestly. I think I've done more on that than anything else. But it's hard to talk to people on Instagram.
It kind of is, yeah.
I mean, sure, you can comment on their posts and such, but...
And reply, but it's not the same.
No.
All right, so that does it for this episode. We hope you have enjoyed it. And until we talk again next time, consider yourself informed. We're out.
Cheers.